Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is the official start of college basketball. We got real games tonight. UNC home opener, season opener. It's all here. And we're going to jump into it. We're going to get into it. We're also going to talk a little bit about player predictions this podcast because we have not going into the season. So I guess we're cheating a little bit because we get one game under the belt before we're kind of doing that. But we're going to get into it. So glad you're along for the ride. I'm so glad you guys are supporting the podcast. I hope you're sharing it with other Tar Heel friends and family and um, everybody on social media, whatever it is. I appreciate the support. I thank you guys for being here, the people that are here live on YouTube. And if you are not, I encourage you, if you'd like to join us live, go to youtube.com/UNC Hoops Talk. Subscribe and hit the little bell so you know when we go live. This one I did kind of announce earlier um, through a little video on YouTube Shorts and on Twitter and stuff like that. That we'd be doing this post game, but we don't get a lot of post game uh, podcast. So excited for this one. Obviously, excited for the start of basketball. Wish we had better games to start college basketball, but we'll get into all that kind of stuff. So, again, wherever you're listening, whether it is live on YouTube, if it is later on a podcast app, I just thank you for supporting. And again, I ask that you subscribe and then share it with other people that you think may enjoy it, other Tar Heel fans. Kind of our motto is to unite Tar Heel Nation. So let's try to do that. We try to be as positive as we can, but also we try to be unbiased or realistic and kind of say how it is as well. So we're not going to sugarcoat everything just because we're all Tar Heel fans. And if you've been a podcast listener, you know that sometimes I feel like we're too negative on them and too hard on them. But like I said, we're gonna keep it as real as we can. So yeah, we I guess I didn't even pull up the box score. I'm assuming it's up by now, but we played Radford at home. Ended up with what a 16-point win, 86-70. Pretty sluggish start. Kind of scary, bringing back some PTSD for some from people from last year or even last couple of years. So that you know wasn't fun. We were actually losing at half, right? No, we were we winning the half? Yeah, 46-41. I guess we were up. I was thinking we were down at halftime, but I guess late in the half we pulled ahead. So obviously we'll take that. But yeah, let them get some good looks. They knocked down some shots. They knocked down some tough shots, and they were playing well. And we were turning the ball over quite a bit, playing a little sloppy. And I guess kind of my initial thought was, or I guess overall, I think it was Mike here. Yeah, Mike says, "Good to see you, Dan." Initial reactions. So kind of my initial reactions were, it was good to see a lot of guys play. Even in early games, we hadn't seen that in the past. Saw some. The 3-point shooting was good. I think we knocked down at least our first five or so. Um, so that was good to see. That was an initial kind of thing. Notice, like, obviously, we were shooting more from the outside. We were knocking stuff down. Um, and as I pulled up the stats, ended up 7 for 20, not great percentage, but Cormac was 3 for 7, Ingram 2 for 5, RJ was only 1 for 5, so hopefully that'll be better. Paxson was 1 for 1, Cadeau 0 for 1. But we looked a lot more confident. We knocked down most of our open ones. So that was definitely an initial one. And then kind of my negative initial reaction is uh, defense. I don't think we looked very good on defense. Obviously, we turned the ball over. That gave them some easy buckets, but also there were times where they just kind of drove past, dished off, got an easy one. Um, yeah, was not impressed with our defense. Again, because this is Radford and a team we should beat by more, and our defense just wasn't there. We do that again, obviously, against a quality opponent, and it's a lot worse than this. We gave up 70, not horrible. Again, I think we could play faster, especially if we're willing to play our bench and our bench can produce, which I think it can. I think Elliott more so maybe in the assists category. Zayden high in the rebounding, maybe putbacks, and gets his points that way. But I think we have some people that can produce off the bench. If Paxson goes to the bench ever for Elliott to start, I think he'd give us Jalen Withers. I think he looked pretty good. He can give us some points and some minutes off the bench. So that's Trimble will give us some defense off the bench. Jalen Washington, I think he can give us some points off the bench. So we have kind of that, so we can get out and run more and be more assertive and aggressive running the ball. But yeah, probably negative wise is turnovers and defense are the biggest things. Offensively, initial reactions are threes were going down, guys were playing, um, more guys were playing. And yeah, you guys are agreeing here. Nintendo Nerd says biggest issue so far is the turnovers, got to clean those up. And some of that is, I think kind of the excitement and you kind of just expect to beat them by so much. But as we've learned in the last couple of years, we can't do that. So stay vigilant says free throw line. We left some points, like the 35% from deep. We're looking like a deep team. Feel 8, maybe 9 deep. Yeah, for sure. Again, it's early. We gotta see how it rounds out and stuff. But yeah, just the willingness to play, guys, is good to see. The willingness to look. I think we were willing to take threes in the past, but I think we took quality threes tonight. I don't think there was anybody that really forced shots up. They were pretty open shots. So Nintendo Nerd says offense looks fine. 86 in a tough game with a fresh group of guys. I'll take that any day. Stay vigilant says yes. Turnovers for sure. JB2, I like what I saw in the second half. That defense was stifling. I don't know about stifling. I think it was better in the second half. There was a couple of times where we got steals and got out and runs. We had some blocks in the second half. I don't know if our defense was stifling, but they did step it up, which is obviously better. So Mike says turnovers in the first half were bad, but cleaned it up in the second half. We got rebounded. That wasn't so good. Good to see Jalen Washington play stronger. Did we really get out rebounded for the game? Let's see here. 37 rebounds to no 34. So we didn't get out rebounded for the game, probably in the first half. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I just pulled up this box score. I should have done this earlier, but we did have 10 fast break points, 48 points in the paint, um, 14 points off turnovers. Not bad. So let's see here. Yeah, we out rebounded them 37 to 34. 18 assists to 11 turnovers for us, not bad. 5 assists to 12 turnovers for them, so that's nice. They had 8 steals. We only had 4 steals. We had 5 blocks. So yeah, I mean it's solid. So yeah, let's say we shot 55% in the first half, 50% in the second half. We were 50% shooting from 3 in the first half, 20% in the second half. So I don't know necessarily what to attribute that to. And then yeah, there's the free throws that we were talking about 9 for 11 in the first half. We were 82%, 50% from the free throw line in the second half. I don't know if that's just people getting lazy or what, but we do definitely have to come out of the gate stronger. Um, yeah, we ended up winning on the boards. Nintenders, I agree with you. At least we took good shots from the outside as refreshing, and we did still. And the good thing is when we took those threes, what did I say? We took 23s or something like that. But I don't remember any that were necessarily bad threes. And also taking that many threes, we didn't get away from pounding it into Baycott. So 29 minutes, Baycott was 10 for 16, pretty efficient there. 5 for 6 on the free throw line. 25 points, 13 rebounds for his 69th double-double of his career, a couple of blocks to go with that. And then we had Cormac Ryan and RJ Davis, both with 13 points. And then Harrison Ingram had 12 points. He also had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a couple of blocks to go with that. And then after that, it was Jalen Washington with 8 and 4 rebounds as well. Paxson had 5 points with 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Elliot Cadeau, 5 points, 6 assists. Love to see that. He did have a couple of turnovers, but I mean everybody did. He had 2, RJ had 2, Harrison had 2, Baycott 1, Paxson 1, Jalen and Seth and Zayden all had 1. But then, yeah, Jalen Withers gave us 4 points. Seth Trimble gave us one. So, yeah, it was good. And then we also had what, five, six, seven, eight, nine guys with double figure minutes. And then Zayden High had eight as well. So, like I said, there's definitely somebody said we were 8, 9. Yeah, I could definitely say 8 or 9 strong. Um, let's see, Seth had 11 minutes and Jalen had 10 minutes. So it was really Elliott with 19 off the bench and Jalen Withers with 15 off the bench, giving us the most. But um, I mean, I think yeah, Jalen Withers and Zayden High could kind of be interchangeable of who's really giving the effort or who's matching up well. Jalen Washington is kind of going to get the backup minutes to Baycott, but there's definitely guys there uh, to give us that bench play. So that's good. Grant says much more entertaining style of basketball than that. We can shoot threes. Um, Stay Vigilant says I'll take 16-point win for the first game. Just got to get better every day. Yeah, I think I don't have a problem with how much we won by or anything like that. I don't know what the spread was. I think I maybe saw 19-20 somewhere around that, but it was more of kind of how we started. You don't want to start that way. But Nintendo says Cadeau having 6 assists is huge, especially the way he struggled a bit in the first half. Glad he's more comfortable. Um, we got Tarclone. Not sure I'm going to enjoy some of these new rules when it comes to defense. Yeah, those are going to be interesting. I don't know. Do we have many called? Yeah, we did have 2 blocks, right? That Tremble one had to have been a charge. I don't get that. And then there was the non-call on Cormac when he was in the post, which definitely, again, maybe we're biased, but definitely looked like a charge. And but at least they didn't call a flop. They just leave it as a no call now instead of calling a flop. So, but yeah, there was a couple other games I think I was watching, and yeah, the block. I mean, there's just gonna be a lot more block calls than charges. Guys are gonna have to get away from uh, trying to take charges. Yeah, Nintendo's charges are practically non-existent, which is done. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it makes guys play defense. We'll kind of see. We have to see how it goes. Obviously, we've complained for decades on Duke taking charges, so we have to see how the rest. Sometimes they come and they call them in these blowout or cupcake games early in the season, and then that rule kind of goes away as we get into the further in the season. If we're in ACC play and now Duke is drawing charges like ever, like they've always done, then yeah, this is stupid. If they can't do it either, let's use it to our advantage. Let's learn to play defense, move our feet, challenge shots, go up and contest shots instead of trying to take charges. You know, I don't know. Again, we'll see how it goes throughout the year. But yeah, it's definitely going to get getting used to for sure. Stay Vigilant says Elliot Cadeau 6 assists is what I predict he averages this season. I'm saying 6.5. Yeah, I'd say he could probably average more. He had a couple of turnovers in there. There was one that was kind of really bad. He threw it right to the other team. But if not that he can't look for his shot, but if he's looking to make these passes and to get the assists and stuff, I think he could easily average, like you said, 6.5, 7. He's pretty much getting starter minutes now. He's kind of splitting there with Paxton. I think it was 21 and 19. So um, again, yeah, like somebody said, really fun to watch. I think it's a good first game for us. Now we have to build on it. We can't keep starting the first half like that and then expect to kind of just come back. We got Lehigh on Sunday. It's a 2 p.m. Eastern tip on Sunday on the ACC network as well. Of course, in Chapel Hill also. And then we have all the way until Friday when UC Riverside comes. So probably podcasting between that Lehigh and Riverside game, but um, obviously both should be wins and both should be kind of builders for us as we go here in the season. And again, now we need to work on coming out strong out of the gate. We need to kind of step on people right away and then build off of that and go and build good habits from that as well. So um, Yeah, I mean, good first win for the Tar Heels. Got the season off right. Again, we did last year as well, but I think the difference is we did see people take good shots. We knocked some shots down. There's probably some open shots we left on the board that, again, this 16-point win maybe gets up to 20. So definitely some positive things to see. We saw obviously the bench being played again, all those things that I mentioned. Now we got to clean up the turnovers in the first half. Our defense does have to get better. Again, that kind of worries me a little bit. Is I don't think our defense. It did get better in the second half, but again, if we're playing, they were kind of carving us a little bit. And if we do this against a quality opponent or an equal opponent or someone of equal size and athleticism and all that, um, it's not going to be good for us. Hopefully again run a little bit more and maybe get up to scoring 90, 95 on more regular basis, and not necessarily every night, but a more regular basis. But if again a better team is we're playing defense like this against a better team, they're going to be scoring 85, 90 as well. So that's definitely got to be cleaned up. I would say over these next few non-conference cupcake games, whatever you want to call them. So stay vigilant says, yeah, got to be the first option to feed the big guy, then go outside. And yeah, I mean, I think that kind of can transitions into player predictions here going forward for this season. So we're talking about season here. I don't necessarily have these written down. I don't necessarily have the topics that uh, I'm going to cover. So if there's one that you guys want to kind of discuss here, go ahead and put it in the comments. But starting with the obvious, the leading scorer, I don't think it has to be Armando. I think is obviously a good chance. He's a preseason All American, um, and he's going to get good looks and hopefully be efficient. 10 for 16. I'll take that from him pretty much every night that we can get it. And so he'll probably, I would predict, if you really want a straight up prediction, since it's a predictions podcast, that he would be our leading scorer. But I would like to see RJ kind of right there with him. Um, Baycott, what did I say he had tonight? 25 points. I don't think he's going to get 25 every night. There was a little stretch in there where Radford went small and he had what 6, 8 points kind of straight. And we just posted him up and he went straight up with it every time and scored. I don't think it's going to be that easy. I don't think he's going to get 25, but if he can average 18, that takes away 7 points. If RJ gets 5 of those, he's at 18 as well. So if they're both close to kind of 18 points, I definitely would take that. And I think they got to be our kind of two front. So again, I'll predict Armando as our leading scorer, but I think RJ will be right there with him. And then Cormac, not far behind that. I think he's got to be um, he had 13 tonight, 3 for 7. He knocks down another 3-pointer or another couple of free throws or something like that. I'd say he's got to be around 15 or 6. Not that he has to be. I think he's going to be around 15, 16 a game. And then Harrison kind of doing, and he did it tonight, a little bit of everything. Making sure he's getting rebounds, uh, blocks, playing good defense, posting up. I like him at the 4. They're very versatile. Got to knock down maybe one more 3. He had one wide open 3. I think he's got to knock down. He's at 12. I think, yeah, if he's going to be around 14, 15, I think that's a good spot for him. And then I think between those 4, we pretty much have the leading scorer any night. Not that, again, especially in some of these cupcakes or something, somebody else can't kind of explode. Maybe Paxson knocks down 5 threes or something and leads us in scoring or something like that. But Jalen Washington gets a bunch of buckets late and he ends up with 16, leads us in scoring or something like that. But for the most part, I think those 4 between Armando, Cormac, RJ Harrison, we got our leading scorer pretty much every night. And I think it could change. It's definitely between RJ and Armando, change interchangeable, kind of who's the leading scorer of the game. But yeah, leading scorer, leading rebounder, I think is pretty obvious. I don't think anybody's going to get close to Armando. I do think we need to crash the boards a little bit more aggressively, especially offensively. I think that's where Zayden High comes in. There was one, I think it was maybe when Harrison Ingram took his wide open 3 from the corner, and maybe it's because everybody thought he was so wide open it was going in no matter what. But Armando was like the only guy I could see on the TV screen because everybody else was back on our half besides, Harrison who took the shot. And so again, that's one possession, but um, you know, Armando's definitely going to lead us I mean, he had 13 tonight. The next highest was 4 between Harrison and Jalen. Obviously, I want those guys to get a little bit higher, but Armando's going to lead us in rebounding. I think that's pretty simple and obvious. So Mike says I predict RJ to be the leading scorer, 18 points. Armando at 15. Um, obviously, again, injuries can play into it. I, I could be swung to RJ being the leading scorer. I kind of thought about that tonight. I said, RJ, but again, just hopefully with as efficient as Armando is, that he gets that many looks and he's that close and he's gonna have it. So uh, yeah. Grant says I think Paxson might be a defensive liability. I don't know. I didn't watch necessarily as close enough. I think again, I'm gonna give it a couple of games, but our defense has to be up. I don't know if it was just him or if it's the team or what it is, but it's definitely something I'll be watching as we go forward. Stay vigilant says I agree. I feel RJ's at 17 this season, Baycat at 14 and a half, Cormac around 10 to 12, and then Ingram around 10. So okay, I'm a little bit higher than you guys are. I want us to be scoring, guys. I don't want us to hold us back. I mean, I said what Armando and RJ both around 18. That's 36 points. I told Cormac to get what 15. So then we're at 51. And then if Harrison gets about 14, that's 65. And if you took even what the guys did, the rest of the guys did this game, that's 10, 28. So I was at 65, 85. That's a little over 90, 93 or something like that with my predictions. If the other guys stayed the same, I didn't go through and predict all those guys, but at 93, I don't know. I think you guys are a little bit low. I think they're going to be higher. I think I'm higher on Armando than you guys. I think I'm higher on Cormac than you guys. Ingram. Uh, Again, I hope that we move the ball and we just take the open shot and guys, have that kind of green light and freedom and are happy for each other and everybody's kind of scoring. So, uh, oh, we'll see. That's why we have the predictions podcast. So yeah, Armando's got the rebounding down. We know that. I think the next thing I kind of said was X factor. Who is our X factor for this year? I think you can go a lot of different ways with this one. Um, I mean, I think you have to take injuries out. Of course, you say like, well, Armando gets hurt, takes away from team. But I don't think that's necessarily an X factor. I think, yeah, obviously Armando is very important. RJ is very important. I guess we could say who's most valuable player as well. Not even necessarily who's going to be the best, but who is the most valuable to the team. And it might be RJ just kind of getting us going. And I think he can hold us back if he were to kind of go into Caleb mode and start jacking up or saying he's got to get some stats and stuff like that. It can really hurt us. If he can really bring some energy, getting to the rim like he did a little bit tonight, knocking down threes, getting up in guys defensively and setting the tone. Um, you know, I guess you could call that X factor, but again, I think he might be the most important because I think Armando's going to be pretty consistent. He has been, for a couple of years now. Um, so I think RJ, I think I would give maybe most valuable to, but again, X factor. Um, I guess you could say Cormac if he knocks down his threes. Um, Harrison, I think you could maybe say if he can step out and knock down a couple of threes, he's an X factor. And yeah, like Mike is saying, Harrison Ingram, X factor. He's very versatile. I think you could say that. Cadeau, I think you could give it to Cadeau and say if he's an X factor, he grows into kind of what people want him to be and leading the team and doing all those things. That could be a pretty big X factor for this team. But I don't know. Let's see. Who am I going to give X factor to? Jalen Washington, if he gives, but I don't think he's going to give minutes to give. Who I think could be an X factor is Jalen Withers. I could see Withers. I mean, I don't think he's going to get in the starting role over over Harrison Ingram, and Cormac's going to shoot too well for Withers to really get in. We could see RJ at the 1, Cormac at the 2, Harrison at the 3, Withers at the 4, and Armando at the 5. Um, but Withers, I mean, I liked what he had out there. He moved his feet on defense and didn't let the little guy drive past him. Um, and he looked like he can definitely block some shots, be athletic around the rim. We saw him throw down the big dunk in practice that they put out the highlight of. If he could knock down some threes, he could really be an X factor. I think we probably do have to go with Ingram. Um, Again, if he can be consistently as versatile as he was, getting rebounds, he had a couple blocks tonight. I think he had a few assists, or at least a couple assists. Let's see, Harrison Ingram 3 assists. Make sure I'm on the right line. 3 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks. So I think, yeah, I mean, in the 12 points. So I think if he could get up to 14, 15 points, if he get up to 5 and 6 rebounds, to add 3 assists and a couple blocks with that, I mean, that is, I mean, like that's, I don't think he's leaky defensively, but filling the stats, but then also has the offense to go with it. So I guess, yeah, I have to go with that. So Nintendo says Ingram is his X factor, um, but he also said I could see Withers being an X factor off the bench. Um, Nintendo's. I don't think the defense looked horrible, but it needs work. It's still early. Radford also made a lot of tough shots, particularly in the first. They definitely did. We gave them some open looks. They got some confidence, and then they hit some tough shots. But I'm talking more of like there was a few times where they just kind of got by somebody, and there was an easy dump off and a dunk or layup or whatever, or drove and drew the attention, and then somebody's wide open for a shot. Those are more things. I'm not as worried about people that hit tough shots. It's more getting the open shots, and also just kind of getting past us. Uh, and yeah, I mean, because it just our defense just breaks down. We don't have the rotation, and in today and age, it's just hard to help. It used to be kind of you drive and get past somebody, everybody just kind of clutters the lane, and you want them to kick out for a three. But now teams want you to do that. They want that wide open three off the kickoff. But even past that, they did that. But then we didn't rotate, and it's a dump off to the big guy for an easy layup. It's those kind of defensive plays that have me more worried. If a team like Radford can get past us and get into our lane and just kind of dump it off, you got to take away the passing lanes. You got to rotate and take away the big guy. Whatever it is, but those are the more things that I worry about. All right, so we've done um, leading scorer, leading rebounder, most valuable player, X factor. Is there any other terms? Defensive player of the year. Who is our defensive player of the year? I think Tremble is maybe our best, on ball defender. But does that make him the defensive player of the year? Is it Ingram? Guard. He can guard a wide variety of players, and gets a couple of blocks and gets those rebounds. Is it Armando, who can alter a few shots at the rim? Like I said, Withers can get in there and be athletic and guard a lot of people, and uh, still block some shots and get rebounds and stuff like that. Um, Nintendo says Trimble is his pick, but also don't sleep on Cormac. Yeah, Cormac had a nice steal there. It was kind of an easy steal though. I think he pays attention and he works hard on defense. Um, Nintendo says Trimble single-handedly makes our defense look so much better when he's on the floor. I don't know. I have to go back and watch a little bit more closely of who was in when we did make a run and when we looked better. I know he had that. Trimble had that big block on the fast break, whereas either RJ or Cadeau was kind of riding the guy, and then he went up for the layup, and Trimble came and blocked it. But um, again, I'm gonna be watching our defense a little bit more closely the next couple of games as well. I probably rewatch this game as well, and just kind of watch what was our who was in the game, what was the rotation when we went on some of those runs to get the lead back, and then also to pull away a little bit. obviously, I'm not trying to take anything away from Trimble. I think, yeah, he works tremendously hard on the defensive end, and I think he's really good at it. Does he get enough minutes to really quantify as the defensive player of the year? I mean, he played what 11 minutes tonight. He did have a block, no steals. So, and not again, obviously defense isn't all stats because you can't just go by blocks, you can't just go by steals. Some people get steals off of other people's good defense. You get blocks, just being big or again helping off, whatever. So it's not just about stats. I get that, but does he quantify as our best defender or our defense? He probably quantifies as our best defensive player, but does that quantify, or I don't know, maybe am I making sense? Does that translate into being the defensive player of the year, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, um, I don't know, and I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I don't have a defensive player of the year here. Again, I do think Trimble is our best, definitely on-ball defender, probably our best defensive player overall. I don't know if that translates into defensive player of the year. We'll hold off on that. We'll come back to it in 2, 3, 4 games, something like that. We'll kind of see, or maybe after the non-conference. You guys remind me, and we'll come into that. So, um, all right. Any other kind of awards or predictions that we want for this season? If so, put it in the comments now, and we'll talk about it real quickly here. So, uh, yeah, some other stuff that's going on tonight. Sinister Star Heel is in here. What's up, Dan? What up, Tar Heel Nation? Good to have you here. Good to have college basketball back, and that's kind of what I was going to go to as I wait for people to put any other predictions they want in uh, the comments here. So, Michigan State, when I started podcasting, was still down by 3 or so like that to James Madison. Everybody else was winning pretty easily. I think Duke was winning pretty easily. Trying to think what other games. There's really, and this is a big problem with college basketball is how can we not have marquee matchups to start the season? I get it. Coaches set their schedule, and coaches don't want these, but even like the Champions Classic, which is kind of the start to college basketball, or supposedly isn't until next week now, just because of how it lined up this year. Usually, it's kind of the Tuesday of when it starts. So at least the second night of college basketball, we have some good matchups. Now we got nothing. I think tonight, it's probably started by now. We had Kansas State and USC, and that's about the best. And Kansas State wasn't even ranked, so it's not even a top 25 matchup. Um, you know, it's it's sad that we can't get, at least one game or 2 games per night. Get it in the well, I talk about Central Time because that's where I'm at, but for Eastern Time, get at one really good game at that 7 Eastern time slot, and then at the 9 Eastern time slot on like Monday and Tuesday when we start. I just can't believe we can't talk 4 coaches into doing that every year. As much as losses just like really don't matter in the regular season for college basketball, it's not like college football where you lose 1, 2 games for sure and you're kind of out of the playoff, or at least the way it is now. I know it's going to change, but college basketball is just not like that, especially if you're playing somebody really good. Like, I don't know, college bas is it's got that problem, and that's why people don't care about college basketball. I know we're here talking about it, but there are so many people that don't start watching until January or February after the Super Bowl, or after the national championship game for college, or whatever it is, or don't even start watching till March when it's March Madness and then the tournaments coming and stuff like that. We've got to get teams to play these big matchups, and I would be all for North Carolina. I get it, like you want to start with some cupcakes and you want to figure out rotations. You want to figure out, now we have the portal, and so your whole team is new and all this stuff. You want to figure all that out, but like I wouldn't care if North Carolina played. Obviously, we're not going to play Duke because they're in conference and stuff. But go out and play Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan State. Even if it was something like we're ranked in what, like 19, I think, in the ESPN. So let's play the number 15 team. I don't even know who that is, but play Tennessee or play. Again, I know there's other things that come into factor. We play, the SEC, ACC Challenge or whatever later this year and stuff like that. But we're playing UConn already. Like, just move one of those games up, like that UConn game. I think it's part of something. Like, just move it up to the first night. Like, how many eyeballs you wouldn't get if you had, two really good matchups on Monday night to start college basketball, and then two really good matchups on Tuesday to start college basketball. Like, 4 games to just start college basketball off the right way. Like, it's got to be possible. I know we used to do the marathon, where they don't do that, the 24-hour marathon, and at least there was basketball on. And I used to watch that. Being a stay-at-home dad, like, I'd watch it, but it's not enough when it's these other teams. I know there was teams today, but now they put them on like ESPN Plus, and I'm not going to go looking for those games. Put them on my TV in front of me, and then I'll maybe at least have it on and kind of pay attention, even if it's not interesting. But give me two good matchups. Each night of the Monday and Tuesday to kick off college basketball, or heck, have North Carolina, or have, the really good match, have it in the middle of the day. I get, they're not going to do that because of, viewership and stuff, but like, have some decent matchups during the game or during the day, and then kick off with big matchups at night. Or I don't know, there's got to be something that we can do to get college basketball kicked off better. Do it like the NFL, do it like the NBA. College football does a better job than college basketball. They don't do it as great as I don't think they can or could, but at least they try. North Carolina started off with South Carolina. Like, it's not a spectacular, but at least it's a interesting matchup for week 1 of college football. Anyway, that's my soapbox. All right, Mike says, who is one guy that's going to exceed your expectations this year? Um, oh man. So Stay Vigilant answered it with Jalen Washington. He also said Harrison Ingram will as a starter, Washington off the bench. Stay Vigilant says Baycat Knights did not take threes. Just do your thing down low, man. He's trying to get that money for the NBA. He's got to prove he's got that outside shot. I feel like I heard somewhere he said that he wanted to make 10 threes this year or something like that. So um, it might be scary if he's going for that. But all right, who is one guy that's going to exceed your expectations? Nintendo Nerd says if Zayden High continues to get minutes, he's my answer by default. Um, I mean, Cadeau, I think he's going to be really impressive. I think he's going to be a lot of fun, a fan favorite, but we had such high expectations for him coming in. I don't know if he's going to exceed my expectations because I didn't really have any until I kind of saw him tonight, and I've seen a couple. But Jalen Withers, I think, is going to blow some people away just with his athleticism. If he's got a high motor when he's in, he's going to go after it and get some rebounds. He's going to get some blocks, probably some fouls as well. But I loved what I saw with him moving his feet and staying in front of a little guy, but yet also going after going up rebounds, but also blocks aggressively. I think he's versatile where he can take a couple dribbles and get to the rim, probably throw it down really hard. I think he can. I haven't necessarily seen it, but we've heard people keep saying he looks like he's kind of got a stroke. That he can kind of step out and maybe knock down a three here and there. Again, I don't know if it's going to exceed my expectations, but I think Jalen Withers is going to blow some people away. Yeah, I don't know what I mean. What are the expectations for Jalen Washington this year? He looks like he's going to be pretty solid. 8 points, 3 for 3 tonight, 4 rebounds. We get a. I mean, he hustled. He worked hard. He looked good. Yeah, I think Zayden High can definitely surprise some people. I think people are kind of jumping on his bandwagon now, so it might be harder. But I think people are going to enjoy watching him play, and again, his high motor, going after balls and playing defense and stuff like that. I mean, I think Cormac, his stroke looks solid, but I don't know if people expected that already. So I don't know if he's going to exceed expectations there. That's a good question, though. Um, so Stay Vigilant says Zayden should be solid on the boards. That's what we need out of him as a freshman. Chad Hicks in here. How you doing, Chad? Seth is still gun shy on the perimeter. Yeah, he had that floater. It was like a floater, small kind of mid-range jumper. He pulled up and left it short too, and I think it just kills his confidence when that happens too. Mike says, I agree. Withers is mine as well. Nintendo says, I personally have high expectations for Washington all along, so I can't say him looking good would be surprising to me. So, um, yeah, I mean, obviously it goes off of what expectations you have for somebody, but good question. I don't see any other ones, so I think those are the predictions. If you were expecting more season predictions for the team, go back to the last podcast. We went through everybody that sent in their predictions, along with mine as well, with what the record is going to for the season, how they're going to do in the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament. So go back and check that one out. I want to thank you guys all for being here again tonight. So good to have college basketball here. I'm going to go see kind of what games I can um, watch here for the rest of the night. And then I think there's absolutely nothing. There's junk on tomorrow. So coming up, obviously we play. What did I say? Sunday night, but Friday night, I want to draw your attention to Arizona going into Cameron. Caleb Love and Arizona Wildcats. Coach Rob, Caleb Love, and the Arizona Wildcats are going into Cameron to take on number 2 Duke, and hopefully Caleb can put on another show in Cameron and give them some work. I think, that's at least it's going to be an interesting game. Hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully Caleb goes off. Hopefully Wildcats go do well. Obviously, we're going to be cheering for them to beat Duke. But there's at least an interesting one this week on Friday night, and then obviously our game on Sunday. And I don't know, maybe we'll do another post game podcast on Sunday since we go all the way to Friday. But I think sometime next week, if not Sunday, sometime next week before our third game, we will get another podcast. So again, thank you guys for being in here live, talking this out with me. Thank you for people listening to this later on the podcast app. One last request. I would just say if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel already, go to it. YouTube.com/UNC Hoops Talk. Subscribe. My goal has always been to get over 500 in the calendar year of 2023, and we are like 17 away. I think I'm at 483 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So even if you're not going to watch live or watch the podcast on YouTube, if you could go to the YouTube channel and just subscribe and help it get over 500 before 23 ends, that would be awesome. Really quickly here, as you guys are putting in comments, I know I can never end here. Nintendo Nerd says Withers is still working back from injury. He'll be really good, I think. Oops, he said C Love better go for 50 against Duke. Chad says Withers needs to be more focused and active. I think he could be more focused. Yeah, he's kind of a little sporadic, but RJ still dribbling too much. Cormac is great, but he needs to get his feet set better on some of those 3-pointers. Um, yeah, it's early. I'm not going to jump back into it, but very good points there. Stay Vigilant says, I hope so. I really hope for a good season out of Cormac. I'd love to see him average around 14. Come on, don't stop at 14. I think I said 15 to 16 out of him. Chad says, I hope Caleb kills it this year at Arizona. There's people predicting him as a All-American because they think he's going to go for it. So um, Stay Vigilant says, I'm not sure that he's no longer at UNC. He'll look like an all-star. I don't know if he looked like an all-star at UNC. So we'll see. And I haven't looked, it'll be interesting to see all those other guys at their schools. How much playing time does Puff and Styles and Dunn and uh, we got more guys out there, but how many do they get on their respective teams? So maybe that needs to be a segment of the podcast is former Tar Heels and what their stats have looked like or playing time and stuff like that have looked like at their schools. So if you'd like that, let me know. If you'd like to connect outside of just the podcast on Twitter is probably the easiest way at All Tar Heel Dan, but also I would see your messages on Instagram, even though I'm not as active there, um, or just comment on YouTube and we'll talk there. But we also have a Discord if you'd want to jump into that. And on Twitter too, there's a community that I kind of formed. I don't even know what the right words are, but there's just a community of UNC fans that we kind of go with. So if you're on Twitter, that's a place to connect. But otherwise, through the comments on YouTube, and of course here live is always so much fun talking with you guys and seeing. It's hard to kind of go off. I see there's more comments and they're coming in. There's Christian. Said, "Dang, just joined way late. I believe Radford's a tournament team, by the way." Good to see you, Christian, and have you here. But it is time to end this one. We will be back. Until then, go Heels.